You are watching a master at work.
What's going on, everybody? I am Keandre, this is Hoop Intellect, and welcome back to the channel. Now today we've got a long-awaited look at the G League Ignite squad, focusing on their top 4 NBA prospects including Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Daishen Nix, and Isaiah Todd. All of these guys were different levels of premier high school players, and although people like myself and probably many of you have seen them in the past, the G League is a whole different environment, and it's been pretty much an entire year since we saw any of these guys in a legitimate game. In this video, we'll take a look at some of the early likes and improvement areas of those 4 players, and talk a little bit about where they could ultimately end up being drafted. Let's go ahead and get into it, starting with Jalen Green. Outside of that first game, Jalen Green has been really good, simply put. He's adjusting to a much different situation and role than he's ever been in before, and he's been performing against grown men who are out there trying to audition for millions. He didn't start off shooting the ball well percentage wise, but he's got hot lately, and he's created a ton of looks for himself off the dribble, and showed an impressive ability to create space off the ball and run through these sets with ease. While inconsistency has been somewhat a part of him in the past, I think he's much closer to the shooter we've seen recently than the one at the start.
Jalen Green has had 3 straight performances of at least 20. Kaminga and Green.
Yeah, they don't need him beating people off the dribble. They need him yourself there. I was moving it a couple of things on my abacus to the right-hand side.
Like, I'm supposed to talk and call an NBA game.
He put Oklahoma City back in front. Quick trigger, Green.
But he's also a dad. He has a son, actually, that plays at UC Davis.
He's also displayed a comfort as a passer that we saw flashes of at Prolific Prep, but this has been a positive, more consistent development. Whether it's in transition or in the pick and roll, Green has gotten the job done here.
Really strong pieces as well.
Jalen Green, we've seen a little good, a little bad early.
Team and his players and talked about getting to know them personally, and he's really putting the pieces.
3 of 10 from the field.
Coming out, this pass goes off the rim. Now a run out.
And his athleticism is always on full display. Whether it's a breakaway dunk, or he's flying up the court in transition, or hanging in the air to finish through contact, that explosiveness and dynamicity is something that you just can't teach.
Second year out of Iowa, spent time last year with Denver and Cleveland. When that's off target. Numbers the other way. Cleveland lost it. Good catch. Bobby Brown baseline. Here's Green into the paint, hanging.
Defense leading to offense here. You get the block.
On the more negative side of things, defensively there's work to be done everywhere, but navigating screens should definitely be a point of emphasis for him and the rest of his teammates. Now, given the expectations I had coming in, he's honestly been pretty solid. I wasn't so sure what to expect, as he's been sort of all over the place there in the past, but given the speed of the game and the physicality, he's handled it pretty well. Now, in the grand scheme of things, he's definitely not a plus defender yet, but you've got to ask yourself, like, what are you expecting to see out of him? More than anything, we're just watching him learn on the fly. Offensively, JG has some work to do as a ball handler. I think he does have a lot of potential. He's shifty and has good footwork and balance, and picks up the ball with ease out of his moves. But when he's heading downhill and into traffic, he's got to have more control and diversify his moves going towards the basket. Also, just overall work on his handle to tighten it up will only help him going forward. Now, some improvement in both of these areas will come with added strength, as he's still pretty slight in comparison to a lot of these league-ready 2 guards and wings. Adding more mass and continuing to work on his body should be one of, if not his main focus as a player going forward. Now over to the other guy I think is in that top 5 convo. Jonathan Kaminga has proven to everybody that he deserves to be in that top 5 conversation. He's put on an all-around display of his skill set that many at his size and definitely his age simply don't have. He's a really good athlete at about 6'8", 6'9", and he's shown that he can play either forward position. He uses his body and strength extremely well offensively and has displayed a nice series of moves in the post and close to the basket. Up and unders, reverse pivots, and pump fakes to get those buckets in close.
Who had a birthday performance for the ages over the weekend. with 25.
Guys knowing when to screen, how to screen, when to cut.
Excited to see how this group in particular works together with Kuminga, Green, Nix all on the floor at the same time.
Kaminga, fade away. Gets the back.
Kuminga is a confident shooter who takes them at a high volume. There's a lot of potential here, though he's not all the way there yet.
Favorite story so far from the bubble.
He threw a four-seamer out there.
Ignite to get shots at the rim in the half court.
And off the ball, he's a smart cutter. He's a really solid passer and can make the necessary reads. He's still missing a level of touch and precision before I would consider him great or someone you want making decisions for long stretches, but I still like him quite a bit, especially in transition.
Knight wearing white. Kuminga with the early steal, and he'll push the other way. On a connection to
Wanted the contact, didn't get it. Kaminga, nice pass.
Jack is open, and
That much of a physical specimen, but hey, what he's doing at his age, you can find some of your better days later in your
18-year-olds going up against multi-year pros are going to have their issues and bad moments, and he can be a bit flat-footed, but I'll take the flashes that we've seen from Kaminga.
Then he ate it right off. Look at this block. Holy cow.
Cook.
Veteran voice is the loudest one out there.
They're the home team in this matchup wearing blue. Ignite wearing white.
we'll talk a little bit about the duality of theory, but he is just so
It's the ball that then attacks the paint.
Ignite is 3-0, but
Now to a few areas he can improve, Kuminga is still quite raw offensively. He still takes a lot of ill-advised shots and isn't really quick enough or skilled enough with his handle to create consistent space and advantages. He's had the step back going, but other than that, he is a bit limited.
Kaminga stepping.
Kaminga from the bench.
He started off strong, but there are still questions about his three-point shot. Someone who is as confident as he is at his age usually ends up being a good shooter, but the hard misses and sometimes rushed footwork is at least an issue at the moment. Simply put, he's not quite there as a shooter, but I also wouldn't say it's a glaring weakness of his or something that he won't improve upon pretty early on into his career. I think Daishen Nix is one of the more interesting prospects in the last few years. The first thing you'll notice is his size. For someone who was born in 2002, he somehow has the body type and play style of a guy born in 1982. He has good vision, uses his body well to create advantages and angles to the rim, and he shot the ball well enough for me to be more comfortable with his overall potential.
Timeout that you can use under 2 minutes without huddling up is pressure.
Nix bullies his
Nice
way.
job by Todd defensively. Nix
Lost to Erie yesterday. Got 16 now.
Big strong frame as well.
Nix getting
But more on him as a passer. He's got great pace in the pick and roll, really nice poise as well. He's able to make almost every pass out there. He's not as dynamic as some others just due to his lack of speed and current ability to get a step on his defender. On drives, he's going to read that bottom side guy and hit the dunker spot big with a lob, drop off, or wrap around, and he can make some tough passes to the corner.
So far. The ball movement now. Nix to Hall and
screen from Todd. Found a wide open Jared Jack. Ends the
You'll hear coaches say a bad shot is like a turn.
that time with the steal. Skipping across to the veteran Jared Jack.
Preparing to be unprepared in the sense of you never know when your roster's going to change, and that's what you want. So it's like you said.
plus 3. Daishen Nix has all 6 of his points in the fourth quarter. Good block. Nix is there.
He's not yet someone who's going to put a ton of pressure on you as a shooter or scorer on the perimeter, but what he does do offensively is really effective. The biggest swing factor for him is going to be his outside shot. That'll allow him to be a lot more effective without the ball and much easier to play in multiple lineup combinations. Defensively, he's been sorta up and down. Sometimes he looks great and is able to keep up with any archetype of lead guard in front of him, but other times he's a bit lazy, especially on closeouts or in help position, and he can be heavy-footed. This will definitely be a point of emphasis to bring that effort and just continue to improve as an athlete, because the guards in the league are obviously much different than even the best of G League guys. But overall, Daishen Nix makes winning plays and is someone who you would want to play with. He passes his teammates open and is a real competitor. He's got a pretty calm demeanor, but has a bit of a mean streak that comes out when provoked, and that's a trait a lot of the best have. Now to the final prospect, we've got Isaiah Todd. Now Todd has been the biggest surprise for me. He's displayed an all-around ability and offensive skill set that I didn't think he had coming in. But he's done some major work athletically, defensively, and especially as a shooter. He shot the ball well from 3 and has been really confident in doing it.
With Andre Ingram, who has been one big player development organization in pipeline. Will be in action tonight, 7 p.m. against Iowa on ESPN+.
He's got compelling ability coming off of pin downs and curls as well. That's where that smooth footwork and balance rising up into the air really shines. He's also displayed some 1-foot Dirk fades on the move and out of the post.
Feeling a little bit more tired, a little less quick than they did in the first half.
Shameless plug.
There's got to be at least one.
Demon Deacon's in the building. You know, it's only one of us.
The defense of both teams in the first half, and seems like the help side stayed in the locker room. Available player pool. There are a handful of players not assigned to a team, but down at the single site.
Similarly to the rest of his teammates, defensively he's been solid given the expectations, but he's still got a lot of work to do at all potential positions he could play in the league. I always feel like bigs and smaller guards have the toughest time to adjusting to the NBA game on defense, but he's done a decent job of staying solid on the perimeter, playing drop in the pick and roll, and contesting a few shots at the rim.
That he wasn't 1 or 2 in some of the mock drafts, so he'll be someone that
Like seeing Knight move the ball around a little bit better coming off of a game.
Particular player.
And there are some smaller lineups for Erie today because they're missing a couple of their big.
I previously ranked him in the top 40 of the last big board I did, but I think he has first round potential. His decision making still needs a big improvement, and like I mentioned before, the shot selection isn't the best, but I do like his game and think he's probably improved his stock the most out of his teammates. All of these guys have done a tremendous job of adjusting to the speed of the game and adapting on the fly. So kudos to Coach Brian Shaw and the many veterans on this team for getting them prepared and keeping them even keeled through the good and the bad moments. So far, this Ignite team has been a huge success, both from an entertainment standpoint and more importantly, development wise. I like what they've done, and I think it could be a real success for future high caliber high school prospects. So much that I wouldn't be surprised if they even had another team in the next 3 to 5 years. Now a quick recap or context to their draft positions. I see both Jalen Green and Jonathan Kaminga as top 5 prospects, and lately I've really been leaning in Jalen Green's direction between the two of them. Daishen Nix is a top 20-ish guy to me, and then Isaiah Todd has definite top 30 potential given where I've had guys like Kai Jones, Greg Brown, and Isaiah Jackson ranked in the past. I think it's only right to give Todd a bit more credit. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. I definitely recommend you go ahead and tune into these Ignite games and experience the fun that it is to watch these guys in a setting like this, especially with the talent that they're going up against in this G League. Now this has been a first look at the G League Ignite. I am Keandre, this is Hoop Intellect, and I'm out.